All right, it is 10 a.m. in New York City, where breaking news right now, a juror has been dismissed from former President Donald Trump's hush money trial. The woman said aspects of her identity have already been revealed to the public, and she cannot be an unbiased juror.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting, the reporting from Graham Kates, who we hope to bring up soon, points out that the judge reprimanded members of the press for reporting what he considers to be too much information about the jurors. And I do think that that is a problem. And I think the members of the press, and I'm talking about all the members of the press that are in that briefing room that are reporting on these details, some of the things that you were pointing out, Anne-Marie, whether or not the former president is sleeping or not, which we can't be sure of because we don't really know if he's actually in REM sleep. We know his eyes are closed, but we don't know if he's sleeping.
Right.
I just think that we run the risk of reporting on this minutia that has real life repercussions on the lives of people who we won't pay attention to after this trial is over.
It's very true. And in fact, what she said is that based on information that's out there in the media, friends and family
already knew that she was already on.
You know, they probably knew that she was that she was called for jury duty or whatever.
And
they figured
deduced
it out.
that she was, based on what they saw and read in the media.
So one of the things that I don't understand, and hopefully, Graham can give us a little more information, as I understand it, there were supposed to be measures put in place to ensure that these people couldn't be identified, that only the attorneys would know who they are, but we should not. But clearly, I was really shocked about the details that we were given, what the people did for a living, where they got their news information from. I did not expect that level of detail.
I think when you start to treat something like this, which has serious repercussions for the former president, it has repercussions for the jurors, it has repercussions for the Republic, we should not make it a media circus. It should not be a circus. It should not be a circus-like atmosphere when it comes to reporting some of the details. So Graham Kates is at the courthouse for us. Graham, you could sort of hear us talking about this. I mean, I feel really bad for this juror who wanted to do her civic duty, was deemed to be unbiased by both the prosecution and the defense, and now, because of these details that reportedly have been leaked, where people have deduced that she is sitting in on this jury and this trial, feels like she can't go forward. I mean, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's not that these details were leaked. These were details that were put into the public record. There was a long list of questions that each person had to answer. And after she said that she was no longer comfortable and they excused her, the judge said that there were two specific questions that are now going to be redacted from the public record, and that actually now the media have now also, for those who are in attendance who can hear those answers, we are now under order to no longer report those details, and those relate to current and former employers, and that was really it's a particularly personal thing to have out there, especially if you happen to work for a smaller employer. I mean, it's not hard to figure out when someone who you know is on jury duty, who's not there every day except for Wednesday, which is when these proceedings, to figure that out. And so we're now barred from reporting that information, and that information will be redacted from transcripts. So if someone who isn't a reporter goes and gets that transcript from today, moving forward, they will no longer see that particularly salient information.
Can I ask just real quickly, Graham, you're a longtime journalist. The two questions that you're talking about that are now going to be redacted, what were they about where the person works or what they do for a living? Is that
their current and past employer?
Right. So I'm just trying to think.
One was specifically where they work and where they used to work.
Yeah, I like, what's the news value in that? Why would you, even if they enter into the public record, what's the news value in that? I'm asking, like, seriously.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I think that part of the problem, or the issue, is that we're covering this, and there's precious little when you don't have cameras in the courtroom. And so every kind of drip that comes out becomes something reportable. But now we're seeing, the possible fallout of that. And Graham, it's not just, this woman feeling like she can't do the job anymore, but part of the reason that the court wanted to protect them is because we have seen that other individuals involved in court cases connected to the former president have received threats online, have felt endangered.
Primarily, sometimes based on the actions of the former president himself.
Yes. And so that sort of, and we can pick up the juror thing if you'd like, Vlad, but that sort of brings me to my next question about the gag order, that the former president is not supposed to be able to talk about jurors. He can talk about the judge, and he certainly has. Every chance he gets, he criticizes the judge. But prosecutors are saying that he potentially violated this gag order. Why are they saying that?
Sure. So they had already said that some of his social media posts previously had violated the gag order. And today they said that they found another 7 instances just in the last couple of days that they say violated the gag order. There were several posts, there were 2 posts about Michael Cohen that he made and kind of reposted multiple times. And Michael Cohen is his former lawyer and a key witness in this case. And then there was a post last night where he quoted a Fox News host saying that there were, I don't remember the exact phrasing, but liberals hiding amongst the potential jurors. And they said that was particularly problematic because Trump has been specifically warned against juror intimidation. And they highlighted what happened with this juror who was just excused, saying, the people who are here can feel the vulnerability with this. And they've asked the judge to hold Trump in contempt for violating the gag order. But the judge isn't going to actually hear arguments on this matter until Tuesday. And what's really interesting about that is that it's possible that by then the whole jury and the alternates are already seated. So there's a little bit of a kind of a scheduling conflict with them saying, tell him to stop intimidating jurors, and the jury selection process continuing in the meantime. And it's worth noting that Trump's attorneys hit back at this. They said there's a fine line that's being struck by former President Trump because he's replying to Michael Cohen, to political criticisms from Michael Cohen, not to criticisms or comments about the case by Michael Cohen. And they say that the judge should draw that fine line, that there's a difference. And we haven't yet heard how the judge has perceived that argument.
There's a lot of clarity in what you're reporting for us, Graham, because I was, that's why I was sort of a little hot on the collar, because I'm just thinking, like, these folks are doing what is a civic duty that we should all do as citizens of this country, which is to serve on a jury. That is the foundation of our jurisprudence system in this country. And so you can only imagine the fear, the trepidation that they have, knowing some of the dynamics that you're talking about here, Graham. And so then when stuff gets out there, whether it's stuff that was in the public record or not, I could see how a juror would be like, you know what, I wanted to do my duty, but I'm not going to put myself, my life, my family, my loved ones at risk. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to bow out. And that's the challenge that both the prosecution and the defense are going to find themselves in, because Donald Trump has, every time he gets in front of the camera, all he talks about is this being a witch hunt, without even pointing out, and Graham, you could also clarify this, that let's just remember, speaking of the American jurisprudence system, there is a grand jury system in place where ordinary people from all walks of life come together. They're presented with the evidence, and then they, the people, decide whether or not to bring that case forward. Not a judge, not President Biden, not Merrick Garland. You see where I'm going with this, Graham?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to point out one other thing, though, about the information with the jurors. I don't know that I actually saw the name of her employer out there, and that's what's really interesting. So the thing that we're barred from doing isn't actually the thing that really caused the problem. I think people identified her by the type of employment she had, and that was enough. And so this could be an ongoing issue as this goes on. We're going to have to wait and see. And I'd like to mention one other thing, which is right before I came out here, prosecutors mentioned that there could actually be a problem with another juror, and they're actually waiting for that juror to show up at court in order to be questioned by the judge about that. They found someone with the same name who had a legal problem in the past, and it didn't match that person's answers. And so there's we started the day with 7 jurors. We're down to 6, and it's looking like it's really a risk here that it could be down from 7 to 5 before we've even really gotten the day started.
So you needed to get 6 more, right? And then like 5 alternates before this morning, Graham, and now are those numbers right?
We needed to when the day started, we were looking for 5 more seated jurors plus up to 6 more alternates. Now we're looking for 6 more seated jurors plus the up to 6 alternates. Wow. And it could be that, in fact, that number is 7 needed, depending on how this works out. And again, this was an issue raised by prosecutors, not the defense, that they found this issue that they didn't know about with this person, and so the whole schedule here is really in flux.
Yeah.
Wow, Graham, thank you so much.
Thank you, Graham. Appreciate it as always. Thanks for getting to the camera quickly and judiciously for us. We appreciate it.